There is a kind of woman who doesn't just wake up, she rises. She doesn't just exist, she moves with clarity. She doesn't chase attention, she walks in intention. You can recognize her not by her appearance, but by her declarations. Because what you say is what you believe, and what you believe is what you become. This woman has discovered the secret to divine favor. She has unlocked the mind of her creator. She doesn't live by the noise of the world. She lives by the voice of the kingdom. And every day without fail, she opens her mouth not to complain, not to compare, but to command her atmosphere. She knows that death and life are in the power of the tongue. So she doesn't waste her words. She uses them like keys to unlock her future. Each morning, before she steps into a day, she says, I am who God says I am. Because she refuses to let culture, pain, or past relationships name her. She will not be labeled by rejection, failure, or fear. She believes her identity is not in her emotions, but in eternity. She is fearfully and wonderfully made. She is not confused about her value. He already set the price. She says, I was born for a purpose. She doesn't live aimlessly, scrolling through life. She walks with revelation. She understands that she is not an accident, not a mistake, not a shadow in the background. She was sent to solve a problem, to meet a need, to represent heaven on earth. Her life is not about survival, it's about significance. She declares, I walk in wisdom, not in worry. Worry is a misuse of imagination, but wisdom is the application of divine truth. She does not let anxiety write her story. She listens for the voice behind the veil. She asks, she seeks, she knocks and heaven responds. Her steps are ordered because her ears are open. She doesn't react, she responds with insight. She says, I attract only what aligns with my destiny, because she is not available to everyone. Not everything is permitted in her space. She understands that relationships can either fertilize her future or poison her purpose. She knows the power of agreement, so she walks with those who feed her faith, not her fears. Her boundaries are not walls, they are gates of discernment. She repeats, I am not average, I am chosen. Because average is the grave where greatness is buried. She does not compare herself to others because she was never meant to compete, only to complete a calling. She embraces her uniqueness, her voice, her story. She doesn't strive to fit in. She was set apart to stand out. She declares, my words carry life, so I speak with power. She doesn't gossip, she governs. She doesn't tear down, she builds. She understands the authority of her mouth, so she uses it to declare healing, restoration, abundance, and favor. When she speaks, her words don't just echo, they shift atmospheres. And she ends her declaration with this, God is with me, so I will not fear. That's not a feeling, it's a fact. Her confidence is not in circumstances, it is rooted in the covenant. Even when storms rage, she stands. Even when she walks through fire, she doesn't burn. She becomes refined because she knows God's presence is not a feeling, it's a promise. This woman is not just favored, she is faithful. She is not just beautiful, she is powerful. She is not just busy, she is fruitful. And every day her words give birth to her world. Because she has discovered the secret. You don't need the word's approval when you have heaven's affirmation. I am who God says I am is more than a statement. It is a declaration of identity rooted in divine truth, rather than human opinion or circumstance. Too often, people allow the world to define who they are. They listen to voices of criticism, rejection, and comparison, letting those external influences shape their self-worth. But the woman who walks in purpose understands that her identity is not a product of her past mistakes, her social status, or the fleeting approval of others. It is anchored in the unchanging word of God. When she says, I am who God says I am, she aligns herself with the ultimate authority over her life. This declaration sets her free from the chains of insecurity fear, and confusion. Because God's definition is perfect, eternal, and unshakable. God's view of her is not limited by her failures or circumstances. He sees her as chosen, precious, fearfully and wonderfully made. He calls her a daughter, a queen, an heir to his kingdom with a unique purpose and destiny. To believe this is to reject every lie that diminishes her value. It is to say no to shame, to doubt, and to the voices that try to tell her she is less than she was created to be. This identity empowers her to stand tall in the face of opposition and to move confidently toward her divine assignment. It brings peace because she knows she is accepted, loved, and approved by the one who formed her. When she speaks this truth daily, it becomes the lens through which she views every challenge and opportunity. She no longer reacts from a place of insecurity, but responds from a place of authority and grace. This identity is not just a thought, it is a force that shapes her destiny. I was born for a purpose is a powerful truth that transforms how a woman views her life and every moment within it. It means she refuses to believe that her existence is accidental or random. In a world full of distractions and voices telling her to settle for less, this declaration reminds her that she carries a divine assignment that no one else can fulfill. She understands that her life is not just about passing time or surviving day to day. It is about fulfilling a unique role that only she can play in the grand design of creation. To say, I was born for a purpose is to embrace a destiny that has been carefully crafted by God before she ever took her first breath. This realization brings clarity and focus. It changes how she faces challenges because every obstacle is seen as a test or a stepping stone toward fulfilling her God-given mission. She doesn't measure her worth by temporary achievements or the approval of others, but by the eternal impact she is called to make. This purpose is not vague or distant. It is alive and active in her daily decisions, her relationships, and her dreams. It shapes the way she invests her time, energy, and resources because she knows that every action can either move her closer to or further from what she was created to accomplish. Saying, I was born for a purpose, gives her courage to rise above fear and doubt. It fills her with passion and resilience because she is connected to a higher calling that transcends circumstances. And no matter how difficult the journey, she holds on to the truth that her life matters deeply in the eyes of God and that she is equipped to make a difference in this world. One step, one choice, one day at a time. I walk in wisdom, not in worry, is a declaration of choosing divine understanding over anxious thoughts. Wisdom is the gift that comes from seeking God's guidance, listening to his voice, and applying truth to life situations. When a woman says this, she is making a conscious decision to rely on God's eternal perspective instead of being consumed by temporary fears. Worry is the enemy of peace, a thief that steals joy and clouds clarity. But walking in wisdom means she refuses to be controlled by what she cannot change or predict. She understands that worry produces nothing but stress, while wisdom produces solutions, strength, and peace. Walking in wisdom means she pauses before reacting, considers the consequences of her choices, and aligns her steps with God's principles. It means she values understanding over impulse, patience over panic. She knows that God's timing is perfect and that his plans are for her good. This mindset frees her from the burden of trying to control every outcome. Instead, she surrenders her uncertainties to God, trusting that he will make a way where there seems to be none. By choosing wisdom, she becomes a woman who thinks clearly, acts confidently, and faces challenges with a calm heart. She is not immune to difficulties, but she is immune to defeat because her foundation is secure When worries arise, she reminds herself that God is greater than any problem and that his wisdom will guide her through every storm. This choice transforms her daily walk from one of fear and doubt into one of faith and victory. I attract only what aligns with my destiny is a powerful affirmation that reflects intentional living and divine alignment. This woman understands that not everything or everyone belongs in her life. She knows that her purpose is too important to be distracted or derailed by influences that do not serve her calling. To say this is to take control over the energy she allows into her space, whether that energy comes from relationships, opportunities, or even thoughts. She guards her heart and mind with discernment, knowing that the company she keeps and the things she pursues must support the path God has set before her. She refuses to settle for convenience or comfort when they conflict with her greater purpose. Instead, she sets boundaries that protect her destiny. She understands that alignment is not just about success or blessing. It is about staying true to the blueprint God designed uniquely for her life. When she attracts what aligns with her destiny, she invites favor, peace, and progress. She recognizes that misalignment breeds confusion, distraction, and delay. This awareness empowers her to say no to what feels good but leads nowhere, and yes to what challenges her but moves her closer to fulfillment. This declaration is a daily exercise of faith and focus. It keeps her connected to God's vision and helps her navigate life's crossroads with clarity. She doesn't chase every opportunity or relationship. She waits for those that resonate with the divine purpose written on her heart. By doing this, she cultivates an environment where her gifts flourish and her destiny is accelerated. She is not passive, but purposeful, drawing only those things into her life that reflect the greatness God intends for her. I attract only what aligns with my destiny is a profound statement of intentional living and divine alignment. It means this woman does not allow random influences or distractions to dictate the course of her life. She understands that her purpose is sacred and specific, and she guards it carefully. She recognizes that everything she brings into her life, people, opportunities, habits, even thoughts, must be in harmony with the unique calling God has placed on her heart. This is not about isolation or rigidity, but about wisdom and discernment. She chooses to surround herself with those who uplift her, challenge her, and propel her forward, rather than those who drain her or steer her off course. By speaking this truth daily, she creates a powerful boundary around her destiny. She refuses to waste time, energy, or resources on things that do not serve her ultimate goal. She understands that misalignment causes frustration, confusion, and delay, while alignment brings peace, progress, and favor. This woman does not chase every opportunity that comes her way. Instead, she waits with patience and faith for the doors that God opens, doors that lead directly to her purpose. She is aware that sometimes saying no is just as important as saying yes, because each choice shapes the landscape of her future. Living with this mindset requires discipline and clarity. It means being intentional about what she allows to influence her mind and spirit. It means trusting that God's plan is better than any plan she could devise for herself. When she says, I attract only what aligns with my destiny, she is not merely making a wish. She is commanding her environment to reflect the divine order that governs her life. This statement is a daily declaration of faith, focus, and forward motion toward the destiny she was created to fulfill. The words carry life, so I speak with power is a declaration rooted in the understanding that the tongue is more than a tool for communication. It is a source of influence that shapes reality. This woman knows that her words have creative energy, the ability to build up or tear down, to heal or to harm. She recognizes that every sentence she utters sends vibrations into the world around her, impacting her own spirit and the lives of those she touches. Because of this awareness, she chooses to speak with intentionality and authority, refusing to waste her breath on negativity, doubt, or fear. Instead, she declares blessings, hope, and truth. When she says her words carry life, she embraces the divine principle that life and death are in the power of the tongue. She understands that speaking life means releasing faith into situations that seem impossible, encouraging those who are discouraged, and affirming the good that God has promised. Her words become seeds planted in fertile ground, destined to grow into miracles, breakthroughs, and restoration. She does not allow idle or careless talk to define her day or her destiny, because she knows the power she wields with every utterance. Speaking with power means she takes responsibility for what she says. She chooses words that align with God's promises rather than the limitations of her circumstances. Even when faced with trials, she refuses to speak defeat. Instead, she speaks victory. She understands that power is not found in volume or anger, but in the authority of a spirit aligned with divine truth. This woman's speech is a weapon against despair and a balm for the weary. Her words carry life because they are spoken with faith, purpose, and a deep awareness that what she says today shapes the reality she will live tomorrow. God is with me, so I will not fear is a declaration of faith that anchors a woman's heart in the unshakable presence of the Almighty. It is a powerful reminder that fear loses its grip when she is aware that the creator of the universe walks beside her every step of the way. She understands that fear is not from God, but from the enemy who wants to paralyze her with doubt and anxiety. But when she acknowledges God's presence, she taps into a supernatural source of courage and peace that no circumstance can steal. This declaration is not merely a comfort, it is a fortress that guards her mind and spirit against the storms of life. Knowing God is with her means she is never alone in her battles. The challenges may be real, but her security is greater. She faces uncertainty not with trembling hands, but with steady faith, because she is confident that the one who holds the stars also holds her future. She trusts that God's power is greater than any problem and that his purpose for her life cannot be thwarted by fear or failure. This truth transforms how she approaches every trial, turning what could be moments of defeat into opportunities for divine victory. When she says, I will not fear, she is declaring a choice to believe in the promise of God's companionship rather than the threat of the unknown. It is a refusal to allow fear to dictate her actions or limit her dreams. This woman walks boldly because she knows that the same God who commanded the mountains to move is guiding her path. His presence is her shield and her strength, making her fearless in the face of adversity and confident in the fulfillment of her destiny. When a woman embraces these truths and speaks them daily, she steps into a realm of divine favor and unstoppable purpose. Her words become declarations of destiny, her mindset a fortress against doubt, and her spirit a reflection of heaven's power on earth. She is not shaped by circumstances, but by the eternal promises of God. To live this way is to walk boldly in the authority given to her, knowing that she is deeply loved, uniquely called, and powerfully equipped to change the world. This is not just belief, this is transformation. And it begins the moment she chooses to say what God says about her and live it with unwavering faith.